We begin tonight with the story of an unsolved murder in Akron. Last November, Erica Weems was shot to death. The police investigation stalled despite a reward from the Cleveland Cavaliers and a eulogy delivered by Lebron James. Investigator Rachel Polanski now with another installment of our series we're calling Someone Knows.
A quiet Monday afternoon.
Akron 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Unanswered calls and texts to Erica Weems' phone only fuel their concerns.
It's my sister bleeding.
That silence was about to crack, fracturing so many lives.
Oh my God. My something is wrong.
As family rushed to Erica's West Akron home that November day, they found her upstairs, slumped on her bed, partially covered in a bath towel, her cell phone in one hand, a drink in the other.
It was just, she was swollen and blue and just like cold. So it was basically like I already knew.
Paramedics knew as well. 3 bullet wounds, all to the head.
Wow. Now this woman is, RIP to her. LeBron considers this woman a sister. She's very influential in his life. Someone who's very, very, very dear to him. And that's why this story is still in the news a year later. How many homicides in Akron? Now, I showed you the gun memorial. How many homicides in Akron make national news? How many homicides in Akron are still being reported like they happened yesterday from a year ago? So it shows you that if it hits home, LeBron can be mobilized. He can take the initiative to try to tackle some of this gun violence in our community. Or son violence, as that's called. Some of this son violence. Do y'all consider this selfish? The fact that he won't even address this? All the black people? Do you understand that for every 1,000 black people of the sun who were killed in previous years, there are now 350 more? Think about that. Now think about all the thousands and thousands and thousands of black people that are killed every year. For every 1,000, there's another 350. Since this defund the police, all this Black Lives Matter stuff, all this stuff happened. That's a lot of extra death, black people that wouldn't have died. Maybe if we put it in terms for LeBron, something that he could understand. If LeBron scored 35% more points than he normally did, the Lakers would still be alive in the playoffs. Okay? So if LeBron, what do you average, 24 this year? So if LeBron averaged 32, he might have been the MVP. Lakers might have been the number 1 seed. Definitely if they would have won 35% more games, they wouldn't have been in the play-in game. They'd probably have been the number 1 seed. 35% is a lot. That's how many more black people are dying in the streets to sun violence, people of the sun, violence perpetuated by people of the sun, than in years past. And you can throw this sister into the mix too.
So it was basically like I already knew.
Paramedics knew as well. 3 bullet wounds, all to the head.
It wasn't nothing they could do.
But why? And who?
Just does not make sense either, all the way around. It just doesn't make sense.
37-year-old Erica Weems always took the safe road. A bachelor's degree from Ohio State, a master's from Kent. She owned her own home and a daycare business. Children loved her and she adored them, despite being unable to have kids of her own. Most of all, she loved her family and traveling.
I'm sorry, man, but that sounds like a dynamite woman, man. This sounds like a phenomenal human being. So many stories I do on this channel of people like this. It had to hit home for LeBron to care. Now, he's not going to say anything publicly about this. You would never know this. He's not going to put a thing on his shirt. He's not going to say nothing on the post-game show. He's not going to hold a press conference. He's not going to do anything publicly that would draw more attention to this, because he can't do that. That's not woke. You understand? It's anti-woke for him to say, hey, y'all, all my 50 million Instagram followers, my X amount of Twitter followers, all the fans of the NBA, this happened to this woman. If you know anything, call this number. Think how many more leads they would get than the leads they're getting now. Oh, for real? That was, just even if all of them didn't lead nowhere except for the one that did. Just think how many leads they would get. He can't do that because he knows who did this. It was not who he said was hunting us. See, if you remember, LeBron James made a tweet last year saying that it was white people that were hunting us. He literally said that white people are hunting black people in America. And you can't even step on your doorstep. You definitely can't go for a jog. Because white people are hunting you. He said that. He tweeted that. And for him to put an all-point bulletin out, a lot of attention to find, and which is definitely going to be a brother. That's going to be hard. And then the news media is going to be, we found the guy who killed LeBron James' play sister, and it was a brother. The media probably wouldn't even give you the guy's description. They just probably said, we found the guy. But we would be able to find out who it was. And it'd be a brother. Just like every other black person that was murdered in just like every other black person that was murdered in Akron.
37-year-old Erica Weems always took the safe road. A bachelor's degree from Ohio State, a master's from Kent. She owned her own home and a daycare business. Children loved her and she adored them, despite being unable to have kids of her own. Most of all, she loved her family and traveling. Now her older sister, Charmaine, is left to unravel the mystery.
I'm just like, it seemed like she would tell us if she was scared or something.
Widespread news accounts of her death initially brought attention. Erica's brother, Brandon, was a St. Vincent St. Mary teammate of LeBron James, and James was raised alongside the Weems. He considered Erica a sister.
Everyone should understand the angel that we lost here on earth, but know that she's in a bigger place.
And offered a tearful eulogy at her memorial service.
We will find justice, and we will get justice.
LeBron, you should have said that as loudly as you said that for that damn hoodlum Ahmaud Arbery, or that fentanyl addict and career criminal George Floyd. You should have threaten to cancel the season in the playoffs like you did last year for that thug Jacob Blake. You should have said and put forth the energy to get justice for this girl in the same manner. You had to be talked out of canceling the season during the playoffs over Jacob Blake. This type of stuff that makes me mad, man. I really get emotional about this. He's so entitled. I mean, he's so indebted and controlled and handled and manipulated by these woke, the media, the left-wing army of wokeness, that he can't even be like, man, help, man, that was a little sis, man. Hey, justice for my sis, man. On my uniform, the little tag, the little black tag on my jersey, man, everywhere. If you heard it, he can't do that. Because it was, but could you imagine if they had footage of a white man coming out of on the security cam, coming out of her house at the same time? Oh my God. Then we wouldn't be able to get him to shut up about it.
He considered Erica a sister.
Everyone should understand the angel that we lost here on earth, but know that she's in a bigger place.
And offered a tearful eulogy at her memorial service.
We will find justice, and we will get justice.
But today, the investigation into Erica's death seems to have stalled.
I don't want her to be another person that's just pushed under the rug.
While two persons of interest were identified, both cooperated with detectives, and neither is considered a suspect at this time.
It's somebody that knows her, somebody she trusted.
There was no sign of break-in, no sign of a struggle. And then there's this ominous text sent to a friend. I opened my door to a complete stranger, thinking it was you. LOL.
If it's a stranger at this back door, she's gonna call the police or my husband. So a man is at my back door.
Akron police insist the case is a priority.
Well, we want the family to know we haven't forgotten. We have not forgotten Erica.
They say they're hampered by a lack of evidence, not a lack of empathy.
We very much want to solve this homicide and give this Weems family some closure and a sense of justice.
Erica's family believes it was her last visitor who stole her life. Now, answers are all they want.
And it shouldn't be like this. And that's what I say all the time.
And it's our hope that stories like this will encourage someone who knows something to come forward with information about what happened to Erica Weems. There is also a $15,000 reward if that information leads to an arrest.
What? The reward is only $15,000? I mean, is it just me? The reward for LeBron James, someone he grew up with, he considers a sister, the reward is $15,000? LeBron, you starting to look like a bad guy, a bad person. Forget these liberals, man. You worth almost $1 billion. Find the brother who did this to your little sister. And have them walk him into the police station with the national media there. and give him the harshest sentence possible. $15,000?
And it shouldn't be like this. And that's what I say all the time.
And it's our hope that stories like this will encourage someone who knows something to come forward with information about what happened to Erica Weems. There is also a $15,000 reward if that information leads to an arrest. For 3 News Investigates, I'm Rachel Polanski.